On Wednesday, 3 September 2014, we read a lot of disturbing news. On the very first page of the newspaper, we read that ISIS beheads another US journalist, Stephen Sotloff. This comes soon after the beheading of James Foley just a few days back. We condemned the James Foley incident then, and we condemn it once again. This is very disturbing, and we should set the record straight and make it clear once again that this is not an Islamic group. I have said more about the ISIS group in the past, and I do not want to repeat the entire thing once again. You can refer to some of my previous addresses regarding the subject. The second news is the most disturbing of all. Saudi plans to destroy the grave of the Prophet Muhammad. Can you believe that? It's such a disturbing news that we want to address it at some length, and we'll come back to it after covering the other news for the day. The third news is Amnesty blames ISIS of ethnic cleansing in Iraq. Now we know the brutality with which ISIS has conducted what has been referred to in this report as ethnic cleansing, and rightly so, about how they have treated the members of the Yazidi community, an ethno-religious minority community which traces back its origin to the Zoroastrian faith. So we condemn this brutal act. There is nothing in Islam from which they could derive their acts or support their acts. It's absolutely against the principles of Islam. The fourth news is Putin stating that if he wanted to, he could take over Kyiv in a matter of 2 weeks. Now, this is again giving rise to the tension, and this is again leading to the World War III, what is otherwise referred to as Armageddon or Al-Malhamat al-Kubra. Returning to the most important and the most disturbing news for the day, that the Saudis, they are planning to destroy the grave of the Holy Prophet, the Prophet Muhammad. Can you believe that? Not just that, they want to take out the remains of the body of the Prophet ﷺ and transfer it to Baqi, to the cemetery of Baqi. And not just that, they want to bury him anonymously. This is what they want to do. If you still believe that the Saudis are Muslims, it's your choice. But on the day of judgment, and before that, in your grave, you will know the truth. You'll have to defend your beliefs for what you have. In fact, these things are unfolding. It's good for us that it's becoming increasingly clear to those who can see, and increasingly clear for those who can understand. They are exposing themselves. Others need not expose them. They are exposing themselves that they are not Muslims. The Saudis are not Muslims. They are what we refer to as crypto-Muslims, hidden Muslims. They are not Muslims. We can expose the origin of the Saudi royal family, which we will do inshallah, but not in this short address. We will do so in a separate, elaborate discussion, in a separate lecture or an address or a session. So overall, this is something unbelievable. So much so that all Muslim groups, in fact, the report says that there is a possibility that it may create a huge unrest in the Muslim world. There's no possibility. It's absolutely certain that if they were to do that, it will create a huge unrest in the entire Muslim world. Yes, it is their plan, and Allah is the best of planners. However much they may plan, this is not possible. They will not succeed in their plans. Why? There are two reasons for that. Number one, Every prophet is to be buried at the place of his death. That is the sunnah. You cannot change that. So even if they want to, they will not succeed in the plans. And second, it is actually related to a hadith, which is again related to Akhirul Zaman. The Prophet ﷺ said that Isa ibn Maryam, Jesus, the son of Mary, alayhi salam, when he will come in his second coming, and the events will unfold. After that, after he has killed the Dajjal and he has lived for a number of years, after he dies, the Muslims will pray the funeral prayer, the Janaza Salah over him, and he will be buried next to me. So in the Prophet's mosque in Medina, the Masjid An-Nabawi, you have the three graves, that of the Prophet ﷺ, that of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radhiyallahu anhu, and that of Umar al-Faruq radhiyallahu anhu, and there is a fourth grave which is empty, and that is kept for Isa alayhi salam, Jesus alayhi salam. So this is related to a prophecy that he will be buried next to me. The Prophet ﷺ said that Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, will be buried next to me, and that no one can change the statement of the Prophet ﷺ. No one can change that. So that is going to be fulfilled, and even the Saudis cannot change that. Now, they claim that they are doing so because allegedly it is an act of shirk to visit the grave of the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is their logic. It's absolutely clear. This comes out of this proves their hatred for Islam, for Muslims, and more specifically for the Prophet, the last Prophet, the last messenger of Islam, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It comes from the hatred that they have, the nurture in their hearts about Islam and the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I just want to say that basically I just want to say two things. ISIS. Okay, before that, just 2 points I want you to notice. The Saudis, these are the same people who intervened. Now listen very carefully. The Saudis are the same people. Abdulaziz ibn Saud, he intervened to preserve, listen very carefully, to preserve the grave of Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Kasir in Syria. Do you get that? So the preservation of the grave of Ibn Taymiyyah is important to them, but the preservation of the grave of the Prophet is not at all important to them. We know why they make such statements or why they act in such a fashion, because what they follow, Wahhabism, in fact it's not Islam. Even if you say it's Islam, their version of Islam mostly comes from Ibn Taymiyyah. So they want to preserve the grave of their sheikh, and they want to destroy. Don't you realize from this that these people are not Muslims? Even the blind will be able to see such things. It's so clear. Secondly, they are on a rampage. They are on a massacre spree. They have destroyed the holy sites of Islam. They want to destroy all sites of Islam, what is usually referred to in modern terminology as heritage sites. Will you believe they have destroyed the house of the Prophet ﷺ in which he lived when he was in Makkah, the house, specifically the home of Khadija radhiyallahu anha. They have destroyed it and turned it into public toilets. This is their regard for Islam. They have destroyed the house of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu and turned it into Hilton Hotel? Hilton Hotel? What can I say more? You understand it for yourself. Have you heard the name of Paris Hilton? Yes, Hilton Hotel was founded by Conrad Hilton, who happens to be the great-grandfather of Paris Hilton. I do not want to say anything more. It's for you to understand. They are exposing their true identity for the intelligent to understand and to recognize them. And it is for the intelligent that they should, if they have not already done before, it's time enough that they should understand who these people are. In short, if we were to state or summarize in one sentence, it is very clear that these people are not Muslims. They are what we call crypto-Muslims or hidden Muslims. They appear to be Muslims from to the outside world, but in reality, they are not Muslims at all. We can discuss and we will discuss inshallah, but as I said, in a separate session, which needs a lengthy discussion to expose the origin, the roots, the history of the Saudi royal family. So that was about this very disturbing news and about the different reports.